First of all, I must express my gratitude, my sense of obligation to revered Swami Tatvamayanandaji, and my thanks also to my brother monks, especially Professor Sethu Shankar, who has been kind enough to be present here during this session. Now, when it was announced that I was supposed to speak about this interesting topic, Swami Vivekananda's message to youngsters like you assembled in front of me. You know, there's a picture that emerges in my mind. You know, I'm living practically in the midst of many of the Indian IT professionals who are working in the Bay Area, which is addressed with the cradle of information technology. And frequently I get opportunities to address them and also to interact with the professionals in the academics, the universities, Stanford and different places there. But when I meet your friends there, I mean the Indian IT professionals, about 450,000 of them, who are working in the Bay Area, in Intel, Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, different companies, modern companies. I feel that Swami Vivekananda's arrow has hit its hook. It has restarted. You know what Swami Vivekananda's arrow is? Swamiji made a very wonderful statement during his Colombo to Almora lectures. And as most of you know, that he was in this city while moving from one part of the country to another part, addressing youngsters, traditional scholars, princes, common people, everyone. He makes one interesting statement. What we need today is a harmonious blending of the best of the Oriental and the best of the Occidental. The Occidental refers to the best of Western, modern, technical heritage, the Greco-Roman heritage, the hard work, the punctuality, the discipline, the perfectionism, the professionalism, the organizational skill, the leadership, genius. All these characteristics which correspond to what we call the Greco-Roman legacy of human civilization. You know, the professionalism, the innovative skills. You find this is a wonderful display through the Western world. That should combine with the best of the Indian spiritual tradition. Now, what is India's spiritual heritage? The sacredness of family ties, looking upon family as a sacred spiritual institution, the continuity of our spiritual cultural values that come all the way from Vedic times. So they should combine without a friction. So in the Bay Area where I am coming from, you find many youngsters who are very professional, very competent, very well trained in management science, extremely efficient. Many of them are in top positions in different professional areas. At the same time, they also display a great regard, a respect for their cultural values, India's cultural values. So, what Vivekananda, the message that Swami Vivekananda had to give, wanted to give to youngsters like you, and which he gave more than a century back, is now being fulfilled in a distant world, and also, of course, in this country too. That means a harmonious blending without any friction of the best of the traditional and the best of the modern. We need modern technology. We need modern management skills. We need the best that science and technology can offer. But science and technology can only teach us certain things. They cannot give us values. Science and technology can help you to improve your material knowledge. It can bring together the whole world into global family. The revolutions taking place in information technology, in communication technology, in different areas, make life more comfortable, can make a secular life much more pleasant, can make a society, a nation much more prosperous. But science and technology cannot give us an answer to the question that we arise, what lies beyond success? What is beyond success? What is beyond profit? Is there something that modern civilization needs other than material secular prosperity? Yes, Swamiji gave the answer. We need science and technology, but we also need a tool that can train us to make proper use of science and technology and avoid making improper use of them. That can come only from India's spiritual wealth, India's spiritual thinkers. So what Vivekananda wanted us to do was to harmoniously blend together, to bring together, to combine together the best of modern science and technology, the best of material developments. We need that, no doubt, because without material prosperity, without economic development, without explosive developments in science and technology, we won't be able to eradicate the problems of illiteracy, poverty, social and economic backwardness. We won't be able to solve those problems without science and technology. We cannot go back and live in the Bologna age. It is not possible. At the same time, you find, if we go to many other Western countries, including countries like South Korea and Japan, which are part of, within the Asian continent, you find they have reached the highest peak of economic development, scientific and technological development. But in many of these countries, where they don't have to worry about anything, you find the highest suicide rates, the highest level of depression, psychological depression. So they are turning to Indian culture, they are turning to Indian tradition. There is you may have, most of you must be familiar, because this institution puts a lot of emphasis on Sanskrit learning. In the Gita, in the 4th chapter, if I imam vivasude yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivabdvan manave praha manu ikshakavaya pravi evam parampara praktam imam rajasya vidhu sakalena iha mahata yogo nashtat parantam. So Lord Krishna says, we have this ancient heritage of combining the best of modern and the best of the traditional, the best of the secular and the best of the spiritual. The word Rajarshi is explained by Shankaracharya as Rajasyaha, Rishayascha, Rajasyaha, Rajanascha, Rishayascha, Rajasyaha. So Rajanascha, Rishayascha, Rajasyaha. That is the explanation by Shankaracharya. Shankarananda Saraswati in his Tika says, Rajittum Aishwarya Sambhati, Rishittum Tu Tasya Sukshmartha Darsana Kshamattu. So Rajittum corresponds to Aishwarya Sambhati, secular prosperity, scientific, technological, economic development, without which a society cannot live in this world. So, but then Rishittum is also important. Rishittum tu tasyaha sukshmartha darsana kshamattu. What is a sukshmartha darsana? Means the ability to understand the subtle truth behind material prosperity. Because material prosperity is needed, but the ability to see through material prosperity and to be aware of its limitations is Sukshma Darsana Kshamattu. So that efficiency corresponds to the culture of the rishis, the culture of the Vedic heritage. So what Vivekananda wanted was this Rajarshi tradition, the best of the modern and the best of the traditional, the best of the secular and the best of the spiritual. Now why did Swamiji want us to bring about this unique paradigm in modern times? We may ask this question. Swami Vivekananda was many things. He was a thinker, a philosopher, a sage, a great monk, and a social reformer. And also, in fact, one of the great contributions of Swami Vivekananda was that he was the one who dared to look at Indian society and point his finger at some of the problems that caused the downfall of Indian society for the last 200, 300 years. So, it was not a politician who came forward and pointed a finger and explained Indian society where they went wrong. See, we have a great tradition. We produce great thinkers, even scientists, mathematicians, physicists, Aryabhatta, Charaka, Susruta, even medical scientists, So, Vakaracharya, Bhaskara, Varahamikira. So we produce many eminent thinkers in medicine, in physics, in mathematics, and so on. So our contributions were not limited to philosophy and spirituality. So this is our glorious heritage. And also we produce great men whose inspiring message continues to inspire and continue to inspire humanity for the last 2000 years. This is our tradition. I am talking about historical because we give me good thanks service. Now, this is our heritage. But when Vivekananda was traveling in this country from 1886 to 1893, before he left for the United States after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna in 1886, till he left for the United States in 1893, Swamiji was traveling in this country to the length and width of this nation. And during his travels, he met kings in their palaces, beggars in the streets, common people, rich people, poor people, all of them. He slept under trees and he lived in palaces. So Vivekananda had a first-hand understanding of Indian society, its greatness and also its problems. So Swamiji felt, as a society, we have some very serious problems. At the same time, our society produced the most ancient and the richest, the most glorious spiritual, cultural heritage of humanity. That's our greatness. So why did Indian society develop some of these undesirable peculiarities? Casteism, lack of unity, and then social inequality, social injustices. All these problems, also form part of India's heritage. Yatra naristu pujante tatra deva ramanti cha. This Manu says in the Manusmriti, where women are honored, that society, even gods are happy with that society. But Manu also says in another chapter, Aswatantra striyakarya purushai swai divanisham vishayeshu sajjadya samsthapya atmano vasi. So Aswatantra striyakarya, that is Manu, in another chapter. Ladies should be kept at the lock and chains. That is Manu. So Manu said many wonderful things. Yatra naristu pujate tatra deva ramanti cha. Where Manu says that women should be honored, worshipped. That society, that nation will be blessed by gods or angels. That's what Manu said. Manu also said that ladies should not be allowed to enjoy freedom. They say Manu made the statement because during those days, some of the invasions, from Central Asia, the Burma's invasion, many Central Asian tribes invaded this country, and so women had to be kept under some security. They say that's the reason that anthropologists and sociologists give for this statement. It's a contradictory statement. It's good. But Swamiji found out one problem. If you neglect the Vedas, if you look upon Smritis and Puranas as the primary values for a society or a nation, that society will face a lot of problems. So Swamiji said that we should go back to the Vedas, because the Vedic message is positive, the Vedic tradition is unifying, it is harmonizing, But unfortunately, for the last several centuries, we neglected the unifying, the harmonizing heritage of the Vedas, and we started giving more importance to Smritis and Puranas, both of which combine some wonderful ideas, but they also combine some divisive, socially unjustifiable ideas. Of course, one of Swami Vivekananda's greatest contributions, to my mind, was that he emphasized again and again that we should go back to the Vedas. So when we talk about culture, wealth, spiritual legacy, what do we have in mind? There are many things. What Swamiji said was that we must look upon the Vedic heritage, which is the cradle of India's spiritual heritage, which we must combine with modern scientific technological culture. It's a unique social paradigm that Vivekananda placed before us. So, one of his great contributions was to point out the importance of the Shruti or Vedic tradition. He doesn't quote certain statements, but I can quote from one of Vyasa's Smriti, which is very important, Sudhi Smriti Puranana Virodo Yatra Durshide Tatra Sraudam Pramanam Siya Tayodvaithe Smriti Vara. Swamiji says our whole philosophical, spiritual, canonical literature could be divided into three classifications: Shruti, Smriti and Puranas. Whenever there is a contradiction between Smritis and Shrutis, Shruti means Vedas, Suryade Dharma Anaya Sudhi. That is one. Then Amanayade Upadishyade Anainaidi Amanayaka. There are different interpretations of Shruti. Anyway, that Brahmadina Paramatman Labanta in the Veda. So this is Shankaracharya. So the Mimamsas interpret Shruti in one language, Shankaracharya interprets, he defines in another language. Whatever it is, Shruti or Vedas constitute the essence of our tradition. Swamiji emphasized again and again that if there is a contradiction between the Smritis and Shrutis, we must give more importance to Shrutis, and we should not uphold the views of the Smritis. Shrutis are important, Smritis are less important. And if there is a contradiction between Puranas and Smritis, then we must uphold the statements of the Smritis and ignore the Puranas. But what happened was, during the course of gradual evolution of Indian society, we started giving more and more importance to Smritis and Puranas and less importance to Vedas or Shrutis. This is one of Swami Vivekananda's greatest contributions. Now, in today's world, you find all over the civilized world, there is a great awareness, there is a great inquisitiveness to understand the unifying message of the Vedas. And that's the message for all of us. If you go to, I spent around 10 days in Paris before coming over here. If you go to European countries, that's what I understand through my conversation with Swami Tatvamayanandaji, or America, everywhere you find, there is a great sense of sanctity that people are developing towards the Vedic culture. Because they understand, in this modern age, the Vedic culture presents an alternate paradigm which would be much more harmonious and satisfying for the coming years. And they consider it the alternate spiritual paradigm. The word paradigm has got an interesting history. The word was used by a Nobel Prize winning physicist in the University in Berkeley. He published a famous name, the famous bestseller, the Scientific Revolution. That's a famous book he published. Thomas Kuhn is the name of the physicist. So he used the word paradigm, which became a popular term. Paradigm is a new alternate way of life, a set of ideas and concepts or attitudes we develop from time to time. And today you find the modern West is looking for this paradigm. A synthesis, a harmony of the best of India's spiritual tradition and the best of modern scientific culture. We should be idealistic in the sense that we should not become bruised by becoming pragmatic. pragmatism, which is the cultural concept behind modern scientific, technological civilization, had its limitations throughout history. Even now it has its limitations. But idealism devoid of reality, the background of reality or realism, can be sometimes utopian, can look utopian. So what we need today is a combination of the best and the combination of the best of the tradition and best of the modern Western. I can give a few important illustrations. If you go to America, you find, if you talk to Indians who came in the 1960s, late 60s and early 70s, a good number of them often we interact. If you talk to them, you find they are very bitter about India. I'm talking about Indians who came to America in the late 60s and early 70s. They must be now in their 80s, early 80s or late 70s. They're very bitter about India because they left India at a time when India was economically poor. And India was bogged down by the red tape and bureaucracy and bank nationalization and many policies which made the country shut its doors and windows outside economic influence. Like before it, FDI was almost zero in those days. They became very bitter about India. But if you talk to people in the early 30s, the 20s and 30s, you are interacting with a different kind of Indian society. Maybe some of you may end up, I don't mean to say that, but I mean some of you may end up becoming like that. They are very proud of India's heritage, the youngsters, who are the products of IITs or Indian management institutes, who are the cream of modern universities and modern education in India, modern education institutions in India. They become very proud of their heritage. They feel that there is something sacred, something that we can be proud of, something that we must preserve in our tradition and culture. I'm talking about the youngsters. They may not know Sanskrit. Some of them, of course, have read Vivekananda. A good number of them have read Vivekananda. And reading Swami Vivekananda has given them the idea that there is something glorious, grand in India's tradition, of which we have every right to be proud of. On the other hand, those who came much earlier left India when India was not economically very prosperous and bogged down by the government control, red tapeism and bureaucracy. But modern youngsters, maybe after some years you may join their ranks. In this country also, if you go to modern IT hubs or many of the places, that's what I'm told, the youngsters who have an occasion to read Vivekananda, at least a few lectures, they get an entirely new idea of the culture which is theirs. I mean, the feeling that we have a treasure, a spiritual legacy that we can be proud of. That gives us tremendous self-confidence. It is this self-confidence that Vivekananda wanted us to imbibe and keep a part of our tradition and culture. So again, I can say a few things from the perspective of my experience in that country. If you look at America, it's an immigrant nation. All types of people have come to that country. In the 16th and 17th and 18th centuries, many of those who came from impoverished societies of Europe. Also in the early 19th centuries. But later, some of the cream groups of societies from Oriental nations also came there. Now, if you talk to them, they feel that you should have something to offer. You should feel that there is something that you can call yours. the Italians had brought their music, their culture of painting. The French, they have got a musical tradition. The British have got a diplomatic tradition. Germans have brought their ideal of perfectionism in work, and so on. So many of these societies, these nations, have come to this country and made their own contribution to the totality of what you call American experiment today. Now, what about Indians? And this applies to all of us, because now the world has become one. Influence of one culture over another culture is not limited to physical interaction. If you open the computer, you immediately come under the shadow of the influence of a nation that you may not have visited at all. So this happens today. So what I mean to say, what about Indian society? So Indian youngsters who have read Vivekananda get the self-confidence, the feeling when we are bringing with us a unique cultural legacy. It's a unique treasure which is much more precious, much more everlasting than the contributions of the Italian, the French, or the British, or the Germans, because their contributions are related to work ethic, professionalism, diplomacy, art and literature. Our legacy, our culture is closely linked to the very essence of our civilization. For example, as I mentioned earlier, the sanctity of family life, the sanctity of the institution of marriage. Many of these great values are part of our national culture. So those Indians who have read Vivekananda get the feeling, get a strong conviction, we have a unique treasure, which is our spiritual capital, our cultural capital, which comes to us from our ancestors, from the rishis, from the great sages, acharyas and avataras, and sages and philosophers of our times, whether it be Buddha or Shankaracharya or Sri Ramakrishna, and recently Vivekananda and others. So, and many other spiritual teachers have made their own unique contribution to the plurality of India's spiritual heritage. Those who have come to know of this, even if they do not know Sanskrit, by reading the lectures and writings of Vivekananda, those who have come to know a little bit about their traditional roots and learn to be proud of that legacy, you find a tremendous self-confidence, a feeling when we are not beggars, we are making a much more precious contribution to this nation, to the whole humanity, than any other civilization. This sense of inner self-confidence, the feeling that it's not a kind of national fanaticism. It should not become parochialism, jingoism, or ultra-nationalism. Nothing of the kind. Because our culture has taught us to look upon the whole humanity as one spiritual family. So, when we are proud of our traditional culture, that makes us more broad-minded. That doesn't make us fanatical, rather it makes us less fanatical, more universal, more open. So that unique cultural legacy is a great message of Vivekananda. It was not that Swamiji claimed it as his original message. Swamiji was only interpreting the great spiritual tradition of his motherland. So if you read the four Madras lectures, especially if you read the sages of India, so a famous lecture that Swamiji delivered in this city, because Swamiji gives a graphic picture of the evolution of India's spiritual heritage. Coming all the way from the Vedas, Vedic rishis, then through Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Shankara, and Chaitanya, and modern times, right up to Sri Ramakrishna. So, those of you who want to know, who want to get an idea of India's spiritual heritage, in a single lecture, one of the greatest lectures of Vivekananda, the sages of India, in which he gives us a picture of the glory and greatness and evolution of India's spiritual legacy. And those youngsters belong to your generation who are read Vivekananda become positively proud of their own wealth. Because if you feel that you have $1 million or $1 billion in the bank, then you won't pick up a nickel like the street. Suppose you are a billionaire with a lot of money in the bank, a big professional, and you're walking the street, you won't take care to pick up a nickel from the street. Why? Because you know you have a great wealth in the bank. Now, those Indians who are not read Vivekananda, who have not understood, who have not got a peep into a glimpse into India's spiritual heritage, they often make a terrible mistake of blindly imitating the West. And it is a guarantee for cultural, spiritual suicide. If you feel proud of your heritage, then you will learn to imbibe the best of the other culture. Suppose you don't know anything about your own tradition, your own culture, then you are likely to imbibe or to imitate the negative aspects of another culture. And what happens in this countries? Those who don't read Vivekananda and those who have any idea of their own traditional culture, you find they imitate the worst, the most negative aspects of Western culture: alcoholism, drug addiction, divorce, and the list is endless. I won't complete the list before. It's not a good thing. So what I want to tell you is, we should try to get an idea of our own spiritual heritage through the words of Swami Vivekananda, because that gives us the feeling that we have a rich home. This is ours. So we will imbibe the positive aspects of Western culture. This is what Swami Vivekananda wanted. The professionalism, the organizational genius, the innovation, the leadership skill, the ability to come together and work as a team for a common cause without quarreling among themselves. Their discipline. Often, I shall conclude this lecture with an interesting experience which I had by interacting with youngsters like you, both Americans and also Indians. We used to say, in India, the family life is over-organized. Means we sometimes suffer under the tyranny of pedigree. So even a student has to get grandfather's permission to choose his area of specialization. What stream you should join a university. Maybe it's much less now, but in some of the village, rural areas, the old tradition still continues. So family life is sometimes over-organized in India. In Western countries, family life is totally disorganized, absolutely chaos. But their public life, social life is well organized. Their roads, the streets, they go to government office, everything works like an well-oiled machine. The perfectionism, the efficiency of public life, the social institutions. But family life is total chaos. That's the family life. In India, on the other hand, social and public institutions, total chaos. But family life is over-organized. So sometimes modern anthropologists make a statement, what we need is a little less of over-organization of family life. I mean, diverting towards a more healthy, culture of family life, where we can enjoy innovation, freedom to take risks, and also enjoy the freedom to take our own perspective. So the best of the Oriental, the best of the Occidental, the discipline, the punctuality, the efficiency, and the innovation, the willingness to take risks, all these characteristics of modern Western society and culture, along with our own traditional spiritual heritage, can present a new cultural paradigm for the new generation. That was the essence of Swami Vivekananda's message. Within a very short time, I have tried to give you a very, very superficial world view of Swami Vivekananda's message for all of us. In fact, Swamiji's message is much more relevant today than perhaps it was during the time when he gave it to Indian society. So we must go back to Vivekananda. With this, I conclude my remarks. I didn't mean to make a formal speech. I said just a broad view of some of Swamiji's teachings, which are relevant to our time more than maybe they were during the time when Swami delivered them. And I thank all of you, and especially Swami Sukadevananda Maharaj, and also my dear brother monks, some of them were my students, which is a matter of great pride and joy for me, and also Professor Sethu Raman, who had the good kindness to grace this occasion. Thank you. Namaskar.